Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the session both in person in Shanghai and online. Today, we are going to dive into the topic on emerging opportunities for EU SMEs in China's urban development. So let me welcome on the stage Mr. Lim Jia, the team lead from EU SME Center, to give the opening. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to our participants joining us online. My name is Liam Jia. I'm the team leader of the EU SME Center. For those of you who are not so familiar with us, allow me to make a very brief introduction about the project. Can we go to the slides, please? The EU SME Center is a project from the European Commission. The project was first established in China in 2010. We are already 14 years in the markets, and this is a fourth phase currently we are in the project. Our aim is to provide first-line advice to SMEs from European countries. Can we go to the next slide, please? And currently in the fourth phase of the project, we are implemented by a consortium of 6 partners. You can see on the slide, among which today's host, the European Chamber of Commerce in China, is also one of our implementing partners of the project. And if we can go to the next slide, please, I will quickly introduce to you the services we offer to start with. We have a self-diagnosis tool for SMEs to do self-evaluation on your readiness to China through filling in a series of questionnaires. The SME Center has largely been recognized as a knowledge center. Over the years, we have published over 200 market reports, export guidelines, as well as success stories and case studies of European SMEs who has been succeeding and leading in China in the different sectors. We also provide inquiry services to SMEs. We take all kinds of business inquiries from SMEs and directly respond to them with our in-house and field experts. We also provide training services as in the formats we are in today. After the COVID days, most of our activities has been done in a hybrid format. So we do organize offline workshops and discussions, but all our webinars, we have started also to record and upload the recordings to our website to reach a wider audience. Last but not the least, tapping into the very well established resources of the European Chamber in China, we also provide services for SMEs to voice. We also voice on behalf of SMEs on the challenges they've been facing doing business in China, their confidence on the markets, and eventually every year we also publish 2 major publications with the SME advocacy platform, the SME position paper, which we do together with the European Chamber, as well as a SME policy environment report. That's the main services we offer, and I have to say everything we do is free of charge, of course, provided to SMEs who are looking at exporting or entering and re-entering into the markets. I will stop here, and I encourage you to follow our activities and our services. Everything we do are on our website, which you can find on this slide as well. Tingyi, I pass this back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lim. So next, I would like to welcome the stage our first keynote speaker from Europe, Ms. Tianqi Chen, who will provide an overview of China's sustainable development and emerging market opportunities. Tianqi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, online and offline. Thanks for the invitation from your European Chamber, and thanks for the MC. And here's a little about me here. The topic today here is China's sustainable development and emerging market opportunities. Here's something about me. That's me, Tianqi. I'm an MEP engineer for MEP, which consists of mechanical, electrical, and public health. I have 10 years working experience in Shanghai and specialized in MEP, sustainability, and climate change. So that's me. Please contact me by my email. So in case anybody have heard of Arab at the first time, a little bit introduction here. Arab as an international engineering consulting company founded by Sir of Arab with over 18,000 staffs in with 94 offices in around 34 countries with our headquarters in London. And that's our experience in East Asia. We set our EA headquarters in Hong Kong from 1976 and have many branches all around China, including the first tier and second tier cities like Shanghai, Beijing, and so on. So that gentleman in the middle of the picture is our founder, Sir Arab, who was an excellent structure engineer. And in the right part, ranging from architecture and MEP structure, all the services we can provide to the market right now. So first, talking about the topic today, the urban development. The first of the sense, we wanted to share you some fancy projects which Arab had made. I guess everybody knows what is this. It's the Sydney Opera Museum, and it's obviously in Australia. And the next picture, since people all around the world, they want fancy building, especially in China, we help some Chinese market to finish some more fancy buildings, such as the Beijing Bird's Nest and the Water Cubic Park. And in the right, the CCTV headquarters. And also in the southern part of China, this is the landmark in Guangzhou, which is named Canton Tower, in Chinese named Xiaomenyao, a small pretty waste. And in Shenzhen, Huarun Zongbu Dasha, which is named China's Resources Headquarters Building, looks like a spring bamboo shoot. So here, I don't want to do an introduction of Arab all the time. I just wanted to propose the question here. So what about the urban development in the latest 15 years? So maybe people have the question that, is it building more energy saving right now? Is it building more safe right now? So from the latest 15 years, we help to finish several landmarks, especially in Shanghai, to win several awards from the construction engineer to the lead, which the leadership in energy and efficiency too. And also, besides Shanghai, all around China, the market, they want LEED or zero carbon certification building all around, including office commercial building, including other like commercial building, heritage building in Foshan, and like industry building in Hong Kong, which won the first zero carbon building all around China. So that's a little bit an overall here. So here comes the question. Oops. So here comes the question here. We witnessed the urban development in the past 35 years, especially in the latest 15 years. Some major challenges have emerged in the urban development, such as the dense population, especially in Shanghai, Beijing, and extremely climate change, especially some inner flooding, and also the pollution and the energy crunch, especially for some cities driven highly dependent on the energy, the traditional energy, such as gas and gasoline. So here comes the topic today. So people, human beings all around the world, they find solution. They have good source. Also in China, as China market is part of the market all over the world, we wanted to find a solution to the problem here. So here comes some hot topic and significant word I summarize here, such as ESG, carbon and decarbonization, climate change, resilience, new energy and renewable energy, circular economic, and so on. So following 15 to 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about several of these opportunities. So first, let's start with which one? So ESG. So why ESG first? Not because it is in the maximum font, because it's ESG as the principle of all sustainability. It shows us a guideline. So here a little bit introduction here for ESG. I guess most of you have heard of the concept, which is short for environmental, social, and governance. So for each of the dimensions consists of several index and sub dimensions. For example, for environmental, which consists of climate change, natural resources, pollution, environmental governance, and so on, and also for social and governance. So here in China, especially in the mainland China, the key purpose of ESG disclosure, except attract investment, that is really important. The other purpose such as complying with the policy, lower the own risk, and promote the competitiveness. So here's some policies in China. You can see that from the regulator agencies. First, from the Hong Kong Exchange stock market, which started quite earlier than the mainland China. They have issued their mandatory disclosure from 2021 and special disclosure on climate change issue from 2025. And for mainland China, including Shanghai, Shenzhen, and Beijing Stock Exchange, issued ESG disclosure requirement on the last working day before the Chinese Spring Festival. And here are the key points, 3.1. First, clear the date. The mandatory disclosure is combined with the voluntary disclosure from 2025. Second, clarify the method, how to do the ESG disclosure. And third, emphasize the future trend, which is sustainable development, are very important in urban development. So you may have a question that since the topic is urban development, why I start with ESG? Because the urban development related to all industry. When we're talking about all industry, so what are the all industry? That's a map from the MSCI, Morgan Stanley Capital International, which is also a very important ESG rating organization, show us the all industry, reading from energy, materials, and to the end, the real estate where I come from. And for each industry, they're clarified in the sub-industry. So that's, I believe most of you are come from at least one of the industry here. And so if you still remember the challenge I have mentioned in the urban development, you can focus on. So nowadays, here, based on the ESG disclosure, these three matters are respond to the question challenged before, which are first, climate change related governance strategies, climate adaptation, transformation plans. Second, total greenhouse gas emission reduction measures. And third, opportunity related to carbon emissions, such as renewable energy. So in the later 15 to 20 minutes, I will draw all of your attention on these three parts. First, climate change adaptation. Second, decarbonization. And third, renewable energy. So first, this is my logic line, issue, politics, and practical. So first, climate change adaptation. I do believe that we feel the climate change in the recent year, especially in the first tier and second tier city. We can feel, for example, in Shanghai, the hottest day last year, which had broken the Shanghai Xujiahui weather station record. And also, like in the middle of China, in Zhengzhou, we have very extreme precipitation, which Zhengzhou has a very drought zone in the past, and also very extreme wind in the southern part of China, like in the Great Bay. So this is a classification of the coast disaster. And based on our research and design experience, for the urban development, the middle part, the water part, seriously have effect on the urban development. So here's a sad story, the unexpected water events in Zhengzhou in 2021. You can see from the blue chart that in 2021, July 20, the 24-hour precipitation almost equal to the 2020 annual precipitation, which have a huge impact and losses. This is from the newspaper, the death toll, the direct economic losses. So here I propose the issue here. So to respond to the climate change issues. So what can we do? Or we call it what's the opportunities in the climate change market. So here, this is a very initiative method. The first, to increase the self-resilience, and the second, to decrease the impact on environmental, which I'm gonna talk later. So focus on the left part to increase self-resilience. Here's a question. So what is resilience? What is a resilience design? That's very familiar in our engineer market. Resilience is the capacity of cities to function so that people living and working in them, particularly the poor and the vulnerable, can survive. So in China, in mainland China, we have a very practical and good resilient design function named Sponge City. I'm wondering if any of you guys have heard of this, which sponge city. So what is a sponge? A sponge is some facility that you can use it to absorb water and discharge water when you squeeze it. So sponge in the city, it can divide it in two parts. In the green one is from the nature, such as lake, forest, wetland, rainwater garden. And in urban design and building design, the facility including like green roof, retention tank, permeable pavement, and sunken plaza, and so on. So this is the opportunity in the market. So let's back to the policies. Here are the policies in China, especially in the mainland China, for all of the fourth tier and second tier cities and provinces like Shanghai, Wuhan, Nanjing, and Tianjin, Beijing. All of them have issued their technical guidelines for sponge city construction, which are the good technical guidelines for us, like engineer and consultant, to do the design and do the evaluation. So we call it red letter document in Chinese. And here comes a practical in urban design, which I'm quite familiar with as a public health engineer. So here you can see from the light blue precipitation reach the green roof, reach the road, reach the city in the past, connected by the pipeline and discharged into the public sewer in the past. But with the help of the sponge city, like the rain garden, like the pavement and other retention tank, it can hold the rainwater into the tank and detain the time before it's discharged to the public view, which help us to resist to the climate change in the future. So all of the new projects in Europe have been engaged with the sponge city design. And that's it, a little bit introduction here for the climate change and adaptation method. So next topic is about carbon and decarbonization. Obviously, a very hot topic today. So with the widely recognized research, we believe that climate change, one of the main causes of climate change is from the amount of carbon emission into the atmosphere, especially after the Industrial Revolution. So for talking about this part, all of the world, global national goals and actions, many countries have achieving the goal of carbon neutrality. And countries such as China has pledged to peak their carbon emission by 2030. And here comes the chart. So what's about global carbon, especially the carbon dioxide emissions by sector? You can see from the picture in the right, industry takes 30% contribution, transportation 22%, and other 99%. And all of the other comes from city, from building, which consists of operation, and other from the materials and construction. And compared with the other developing countries, China's construction operation carbon emission accounted for a relatively low proportion, reached to 21%, while the construction reached to a relatively high proportion. Actually, it's very simple to understand, I think, because we are still a developing country, and we still have the requirement demand for new development in the city and new building in the future. So that's the reason here. So since building takes so much contribution to the carbon emission, so why we do not do the decarbonization in building at first? Here's the reason here. Here's the reason, because to do the math, to do the calculation of carbon in the building is quite difficult. So let me to propose a little bit example here. So for other industries, such as transportation, so we come from our office to the meeting room today. The calculation of the carbon emission start from we leaving our office and end at we arrival. So it's done. It's a one-stop, it's direct carbon emission. But for the building part, the building carbon emission actually consists of two parts. The first, the embodied carbon, you can see from the chart, the A part, mainly construction. The B1 to B5 use maintenance, repair, replacement, refurnishment, and the C part disposal, which takes only 11%. But for the operational part carbon, from B6 to B7, operational water, operational energy take the higher proportion of the carbon emission. Actually, we have to see the building carbon emission are continue, keep discharging into the atmosphere the whole life of the building. So that's the reason why the building carbon emission kind of difficulty than the other industry here. Hence, we propose the issue in decarbonization, and then what can we do in the market? So how could we reflect to the situation? So here, an initial method here, also the first part is, so we need to figure out how much carbon emission into the atmosphere. We need to set the boundary for projects, for building, for city, or for country. And there are quite a lot of opportunity we call service here, such as carbon audit, carbon footprinting accounting, carbon target setting, and also next part is about how to decrease the carbon emissions, where I'm going to talk in the next chapter. So here also comes from some policies and targets in China. Here's a path to carbon neutrality at a national level. So first, we want to reach intensity control by 2025 and to reach the carbon peak by 2030, then to flag to down on 2035. And that has been written and issued in the 15th five-year plan and outline of the vision goals to 2035. And by 2050 to reach the near zero emissions, and by 2060 to reach the final carbon neutral. That's the target and policies in China market. And here comes some detailed policies and regulation in market. For urban and building, we have plenty of regulation specifications, such as for the developing and evaluating zero carbon park, and for the zero carbon factory. And also in China, in Shanghai, Beijing, we have our local low energy building technical menu. This guideline and this menu help us and as engineer, as consultant to do the evaluation and to do the design for the low carbon, for the urban design, also for the urban planning and for the building design. That is for urban and building. And besides urban building, I noticed that many of you may from other industry, and also still many policies on subsidies for the manufacturing industry. In other words, it's financial incentive. From the north to the south, from the west to the east, we have many provinces and cities have provided their policies here, to such as the certification service fee for each product, for each low carbon certification, you can get like reward here. So that is for the manufacturing industry. And after the policies, let's focus on a little practical in the market. Here is a project Urban have provided to our real estate enterprise who listed on the Hong Kong Exchange stock market. So we help them to set their baseline by 2021 and help them to set their budget year, start year, and plan the target in short term by 2025, the midterm target by 2030, and long-term target by 2050. So a little bit focus on the short-term target to decarbonization to reach the target 22.5%, which consists of three parts. First, power grid is highly dependent on the public grid actually. And another one first, the renovation, which is us at Arab, we are very good at to do the renovation, including the such as the MEP system renovation, including the metering system renovation to help them to decarbonization in their future building operation. And also we help them to figure out how much of the green power they need to purchase in the coming years. So that's the job we have done for one of our real estate enterprise. So here is the practical in decarbonization. And that's the end of the decarbonization. The last one about the renewable energy here. If you still remember the slides before, so I proposed, here are some organizations in the carbon emission calculation. Then if we have figured out so how much carbon emit into the atmosphere, then next we wanted to know how to decrease the carbon emissions. So actually in common sense, we know the carbon emission comes from energy consumption. So for example, we are enjoying the meeting room today. We have the very warm temperature here, thanks for the heating system, HVAC system. But if we can afford or we can enjoy a lower temperature, and then the energy consumption will reduction, which leading to the carbon emission reduction. But maybe we are not, maybe it feels not so comfortable. So here comes another thought. So how about we still make the same design standard, but we take the renewable energy, replace some of the original traditional energy, such as gas or other things. So here comes the renewable energy. A little bit concept of the renewable energy. I think all of you have the knowledge that it is a kind of energy that will not run out in future, such as wind, such as solar, and such as water. So in China market and the Chinese government have issued several policies and regulations to support and promote the renewable energy market, such as in the 15th five-year plan, the renewable energy development plan, the keynote here. So actively promote distributed development of wind power and photovoltaic power generation, especially in industry parks and especially in economic developed zones. And right part is another we call GB code, national standards, which named the General Code for Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Application in Building, which we are very familiar with that, which is the guideline for all of the low energy building design in China. So here comes two practical in the market about the renewable energy. The first one is the application in industry building. We call it PEDF. I'm wondering if everyone have heard about the Chinese word. We call it 光储直柔 in Chinese. From the PV panel, we got the free energy from the solar, obviously. But the question here is that the solar panel can only work in the sunny day, in daytime. So how could we use it in the night or in the raining day? So we need energy storage devices, which we call energy storage. And that's the benefit. First, we come from the PV panel. And then from the on-site PV panel, we got the direct current. That's an extra benefit from here, because from the public power supply, we only got AC, which is not quite stable. So we got direct current here. And to the flexibility, since we got the energy from our on-site, so we kind of decrease our dependence on the public grid. So we help the client to kind of save money on their electricity expense. So that is PEDF here. And next practical has some related with the previous one. Here's another application in the office building, which called V2G, vehicle back to the grid. So here's the problem here, back to the previous slide, that all of the PEDF, the most challenging one actually is energy storage. Why I'm talking about that? Because based on the Chinese regulation, you cannot put the energy storage in the basement. So it's okay in the industry park, you can put the battery devices on the land of the industry park. But for commercial building, especially for office building, land means money. You cannot to put the battery on the first ground. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. So here comes the solution here. A great idea. So how about to use the vehicle, especially the electrical vehicle? I believe many of us are the owner of the electrical vehicles. So the core thought of this is to take the large number of electrical vehicle as the buffer, as the flexibility to the grid. So we got our car charging in the residential basement at night, and we go to work and work all day to let our car sitting in our basement of the office building, and it can discharging into the public grid, especially in the great load peak time. So it's also to help our clients, to help the office building to get a flexibility and less their dependence on the public grid. So that's another practical in market, and that's a practical we're gonna to use in our new urban development in the North Band in Shanghai. And here, a lot of talk about the opportunity here. Here comes some summaries here. So for the climate change adaptation, which consists of many opportunities I've summarized here, like resilient design, including the building design, including the city design, and also for the decarbonization part, which including so much opportunity, like the certification, like the audit, like the planning and design at the target setting, and also for the renewable energy, also including many design and certification here. So, and one sentence here, we AirPi can provide all of these services, and we have a new team calling climate change and sustainability, and the leader of our team is sitting over there, the charming lady, Miss Wang Lingfei. So if you like, you can have a talk with her later. So that is the services we can provide here and the opportunity in the market. So last but not least, one sentence, since we have so many services, we have so many opportunities. So we do have the confidence in China market, especially in the mainland market. We do hope the economic will turn something good in the coming years, and we hope we can do it. We can ship a little better what for the market. So that's all for my sharing today. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tianqi. So I will open the floor to any questions that you may have. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. And yeah, Fanny. Okay, Harold.
I have a question for the Hong Kong Stock Exchange for the real estate companies. You've shown that they have they get their targets, and how is this being implemented? I'm working with some of those developers, and they seem to have a lot of time to do something like like a snail, very slow. Even opportunities financially, commercially viable are there, but they're moving very slowly. So, but are there any restriction or any punishment or for them if they don't start to reduce the real estate companies? How will this work out in practice? Yeah,
Thank you for your question.
Understanding, because I don't see them really moving fast. Yeah.
Yes, understand. So here comes, so why I talking about ESG at the first, since the principle and the instance of all the other services here. So you mean that maybe some company, they tell that they do the disclosure that they will do the target here, just want to attract the investor to do the investor. But actually in Hong Kong, both in Hong Kong or in the mainland, if you disclose in the stock market, in the exchange market, which will be regulated by also by the government and by the market. So if you do disclose this target in your ESG report, and in the next year they will chat you should do it's a mess. In the next year you still do the carbon audit, and for example, they do the target by 2025, but in the next year, 2026, they will show them carbon emission data, but if it's over the data here, they should tell the market. So that's the regulation power, we believe. Yes, so obviously, yes. Yes, obviously. Since China mainland just got started, we have some we call government department will do the pension. Obviously not for the real estate at first, but for the other 8 major industry, which including the gasoline, including the electrical. For this company, for this kind of enterprise, if you disclose the data, but for the next year you cannot reach the data, you will get your pension. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Joanne Wood from Capital A. Thank you. That was a very insightful presentation.
Thank you.
Follow on to the first question. Understanding there's a lot of property developers now in serious financial distress.
Yes.
Combined with the fact that this decarbonization is not exactly inexpensive. There is a significant cost. And
Yes.
most developers, you know, they're being forced to, it's mandatory to start disclosure. But if decarbonization, this whole journey had been something that was extremely cost effective that they bought into and they considered relatively inexpensive for the benefit they'd get out, they would have been, I think, a lot further along the path. Now, in light of the fact that you have issues around the entire sector, what's your view on, or are you hearing or experiencing that developers are really beginning to drop and go to an absolute minimum decarbonization as a result of all the additional costs that they have and debt that they have to start paying back?
Sure. That's a good question. To be honest, I have to admit, so for all industry, for all enterprise, the first of their core purpose is to earn money. That's true. That's a true story that in each country. But so here comes some policies on subsidies in market. So actually in manufacturing industry, the government wanted to give some help here. For example, you do the low carbon design, or you do the carbon certification for one of your products, then you will get some reward here, which help you to lease or decrease your cost on your manufacturing. So that's the help here to answer your question. And I do hope that for some other reason, the company or the government can promote more policies that help them to reduce their cost in future, that may help them to release. And in other words, except the, that's we back to the ESG. Why we talk about ESG at first. So except the cost, except the earning money part, all the company, they wanted to show their social impact on the society. Absolutely. If they show some carbon or decarbonization method, they maybe can win more than just cost.
Alberto from the Economic and Trade Office of Spain. It's not allowed to store the energy at home in the houses, but I didn't get the idea of what about the car of a device to store the energy. Or can you repeat this idea at the end of the presentation?
You mean the last one?
Yep.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
this one?
Yeah. How does
it work?
Yeah.
Obviously. I like that. I'm an engineer. So this is V2G, vehicle back to the grid. You know that first we got the grid, public grid, all of the device and can get driven by the grid, obviously. And we have our vehicle, especially the electrical vehicle in the basement. So this consists of electrical battery, definitely. And since they are sitting in the basement all day, since we have to work all day, 996. So there's no use for them. So there's a bi-direction charging and discharging pile. We can see from here. It gets charged for the car and also discharged by the car. For example, for us, like the building here, so if we set a data like all of the car in the basement to take like 55 to 10% of their battery back into the grid, then it helps the building save their cost on the electrical expense, especially in the load peak. Okay, and I have to say this still under discussion. This technical not wide used, and we try to help our client in actually government in the North Bend to take this method in future in the coming year. Thank you.
Have a question. I noticed when you have this circular charts, you talk a lot about reuse, recycling, and everything, and the circular economy. But in your solution, it's only focused on the energy part. So I don't know, is Arab doing anything regarding to the building material circularity or everything?
Yes, we actually Arabs, as I mentioned, the whole. Have you finished your question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. Actually, Arabs' main core business structure and MEP. So that's our core business. So for structure part, we do help to do the decarbonization on the building materials such as the concrete and such as for the embodied carbon. So that's we are doing right now.
Seeing any kind of, I think most of that is you have the material from the other industry, which goes back into the building material. Do you see any major trends that, for the building itself to have its own circularity?
Okay, got it. So it's about the reuse. You can see from this one, the reuse, recovery, recycle, and potential. So actually, this is a circle that from A to B to C and to D for some, waste is something that you just put in the wrong place. For some waste processing for the building, some part of the building it can be reused in other kind of building. For example, for our office building, the glass, maybe we want to change for a more fancy way, we change the glass, but it could back into the industry for reuse. That is something we are doing in Europe for the decrease in embodied carbon emission.
Do you have any calculation? You have the A, B, and C covered here, but the D part of which is actually the reuse and recycling. How much this will have the potential to contribute to the decarbonization? Do you have any working on that or calculation?
To be honest, not now, recently, it's a new topic about the circular economy, which is, as I mentioned, it's very hard to do the calculation in the carbon, in the building carbon. So we just have A, B, and C, not for D right now. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we will take the final question for keynote.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chen, for the presentation. I'm Oliver from Schuko. I'm having another question from the construction sector side. So it's quite interesting with the chart for the coal life cycle emissions, because we're also looking at that for our products, for, it's the logical next step. I mean, coming from Europe, we're focusing over the last years on the operational carbon of the buildings, which is comparatively a small share. I mean, if we take into consideration the lifetime emissions, because the energy is getting greener, thus the building emissions, the operational emissions getting lower and lower. So basically what remains for the coming years is the embodied emissions. So we see this at one side, I mean, in Germany, largely driven from the governing bodies, like from LEED, DGNB, BREEAM, everybody's, taking into consideration the operational emissions. In Europe, we're having a way deeper discussion about operational carbon, right? So this is more forced because we have clear targets. In China, my question would be now, do you already see, because also you listed up the time horizon for the carbon peak and for basically reaching carbon net zero, and also with the release of further documents in terms of how to calculate the emissions. Is there already some time horizon going on by when we will see from a state side like clear carbon goals that need to be set for certain products? Or do you see this rather as well first driven by private companies like LEED, DGNB, BREEAM, or the Green Building Standard in terms of dictating clear levels?
So you mean, is there any details passed for the total pass? for each each industry.
Exactly, because I mean, we're slowly starting. There's not much,
Yes,
speed yet at the moment going
so-
on in terms of we're slowly getting towards, okay, we're getting a feel for how to calculate and so on.
I
And so on.
mean-
By when, what would be your fair guesstimate by when we see more stricter focus on embodied carbon?
Maybe a little bit more introduction about the past here. For when we were serving for the intensity control, we in the government issued the report. They have issued that to decrease the carbon emission for per GDP for data I just forgotten. So actually that is for all industry, not for just one industry, especially for the 8 major industry as electrical and so on. So not just there's no quite detail in the data for building at right level, but we do have some regulation and detail guideline, such as, for example, like this one, the Shanghai Low Energy Building Technology Manual, which is regulated. So how much of the energy consumption for each square of, for example, office building from original, maybe just a data matter, to per meter, but now 100. So that's the detail. So there's no line passed for the carbon, how to say, there's no path for the building industry right now.
And what is your personal take? What would you say where the developments are going?
I think we should see. We will see. I have to admit that we will see.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Ask one last question, maybe if I may, on the policies, because my question will be from the other perspective. So there are SMEs in China that are especially from the manufacturing sector. Green transition or ESG related issues can be also a challenge for them. Related costs has been pointed out as a challenge for SMEs among all the other ones, but the policy in place now is not sufficient for companies to get support. The subsidies is not enough.
Yes, obviously.
So
yes.
and how do you think? My question would be to convince the SMEs to have them looking at different drivers for starting their green transition, or to commit in the longer term the whole transition process. And what do you think improvements or policy measures can be issued in place that could provide the supports for SMEs?
Okay, I hope I'm one of the government. I'm not. So you mentioned a very good question that is not easy to do the ESG disclosure, especially for some SME, which are both non-listed or listed in the market, in the stock market, which are not really easy. But I have to see that since China market is part of the whole world market, if we want to have the dialogue with the world in the future, we have to do that. There's no another world, since all of it, especially I think the ESG comes from European region at first. Since Europe talking about ESG, since US talking about ESG, all of the world has talking about this question. So no matter how hard it might to push to promote in China market, we have to follow that. That's the first. And second, I think the disclosure renewable energy and recruiting about the decarbonization, which also wins several opportunities for the market. So it's not so bad for including SME or other company like us to join the market to win the new projects. So we have a new team, CSSP. So that's my response. Hope it's okay. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Tianjin, and all your
Thank you.
great questions and answers. So next, I will introduce our great panel speakers on the stage. So we will have the moderator, Mr. Johannes Wellharder, Vice Chair of the Construction Working Group. Yeah, please just go on the stage. And our panelist, Mr. Harold Comfort, General Manager from NE Create Shenyang New Energy Technology. Mr. K. Seed, CEO from New Musketeers Interior Shanghai, and Ms. Natalie Yung, Expertise Operations Manager from Terrell Asia. So I will give it to our moderator, Johannes. The floor is all yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Without that microphone.
Yes, please get close to the microphone so online attendees can hear you good.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And yeah, thanks for the European Chamber for having this panel and for having this event. Thank you to our previous speaker. Yeah, I want to take this chance to first introduce to you our panel. First of all, ladies first, we're having Natalie Leong. Natalie is the operations manager of Terrell Asia. And I think Terrell, you probably all know, Terrell is actually a French engineering firm, very innovative. They're having about history of 25 years. And they're providing services in the field of, well, it's energy efficiency consultancy, low carbon assistancy, and I think it's building certification. Well, they're spanning through 3 time zones, and they're also having 3 business units. I think this is, yeah, for LCA, for low carbon advisory, for energy efficiency, and for building certification. Yeah. I think they're here in, having said 3 time zones, so this makes it Asia, basically everywhere in Asia. Then we are having probably everywhere in France, I would say, yeah. And all about Europe and in Latin America. Yeah, Natalie herself, she has a master's degree in international energy management from Tsinghua University and one from Mines in Paris. From, yeah, she has about 10 years of experience in energy. And yeah, we're happy to have her today on the panel. Second, we're having Harald Comfort. Harald is the founder and the general manager of Shenyang Necreat New Energy Technology Company Limited, which is an energy efficiency solution provider, well, which enables customers to manage their energy systems more efficiently, and not only by reducing costs, also by making air cleaner and improving the environment. They're having their own technology, their own patents, combining German and European high-end energy-saving technologies. This is basically it. They are in Shenyang, in Shanghai, and in Changzhou, and they're advising on the entire scope of energy efficiency projects, from the feasibility actually to the after-sales services. Harald himself has about 27 years of experience in China, all around the spectrum, I would say, from project management to business management, company establishment, etc. He has a degree in automation from Germany and a degree in business administration from ZEIBS in China. And yeah, if he's not the CEO and owner of Necreat, he is the vice chair of the, or is it the chair from the European Chamber of.
I've been the chairman, yeah.
Good, here we go.
For 8
Okay.
years, yeah, 8 years in Shenyang. Yeah,
The ex-vice chair from the European Chamber in Shenyang. And thirdly, last but not least, we're having Kai Tiede. Kai is the CEO and one of the shareholders of New Musketeers Interior Shanghai Company Limited, which is a project management company. And apart from that, I think they're doing construction management. And we could characterize him in projects like as the ear and eye on the ground. Kai has about 40 years of experience. He started off as a carpenter and is meanwhile in project management for big factories, as much as I know. Good. Yeah. Last, I hope that Ms. Chen is also virtual guest at our panel and stays here for further questions. Yeah. Yeah. Now, having said that, I mean, this is your show, so I hope you have many questions actually. Yeah. And every question is welcome. So please don't hesitate at all, even to our guests who are joining us online. please come up with every question. We are happy to answer it. And well, let's dive into our discussion. One of the things, because we're talking today about the business opportunities for SMEs, which are coming around with decarbonization, with energy efficiency consultancy. There is one question, and I don't want to hear any business secrets, of course, but I would like to test a little bit. Could you advise a little bit, like what kind of clients you're already having, who are coming to you in these areas, and a little bit on the motives they're having. I think there are primary motives. Of course, the primary motive in energy efficiency is, of course, I want to get down those bills. I want to consume less energy. But I think there are also secondary motives involved, which would be, for example, I want to get a subsidy. I want to be ESG compliant. I want to be compliant with the Chinese codes. And this is the first part of the question. The second part of the question would be, what kind of clients are coming with these, what kind of clients are requesting your services? And saying that, I mean, we are talking about SMEs. Do we especially have here SMEs? If so, are the European invested, or have it more like the big guys, like MNCs, like is there Siemens coming around, or the big hotels or somebody, Or are we talking about, SOEs, for example? That would be my question. And if
I can start,
absolutely,
okay, maybe combine a bit of both questions. I think very good and very interesting. Those questions, who are your clients and what is the motivation of the clients? We have all clients in the industry, but also in the hospitality industry, the manufacturing and hospitality industry. And I could see the highest motivation of clients is in the private foreign invested SME in those companies. They have the highest motivation because they look at the profit, but also they look mainly at their compliance with the headquarter requirements. Also their clients, their own clients, OEMs, automotive industry, they all have restrictions on them to reduce CO2 emissions. So this is a main driver. Then, of course, it's the profit. They don't want to see a too long ROI. So this is the main motivation for those companies, and then also compliance, ESG, general requirements, but they are mainly lower than the requirements from their own clients. And when you look at state-owned companies, for example, the other spectrum here in China, we also have experience with, they are more or less totally top-down. It's like they get an order, energy saving, the party secretary gives the order of energy saving, or their next level, their owner, SASAC maybe, give an order to them to save energy, and then they come and say, okay, I need to save 10% energy, and whatever it costs. In the middle between them are the private, the Chinese enterprises. And what I can see here is those companies are, first is the profit driven, and then also if they have foreign contacts, foreign clients, then also it's their requirements to reduce CO2 emissions. And now it start to bite is the CBAM, the carbon border adjustment mechanism from Europe, where actually we have been quite often advocating this to clients. And 2 years ago that everybody was sleeping, and I asked them, like 200 companies, owners, who heard about this, and are you aware, and do you know your CO2 footprint? Not only even one knew it, but now it starts to bite. They know that from this year on, they have the reporting requirements 2 years later. For some of them already in the energy intensive industries, they have to pay the tax. So they start to do something. And if I compare now, another dimension is the speed. I would say the Chinese companies, domestic companies, have been sleeping a long time, but now they're waking up and they're very fast. And the foreign companies, they have been a long time things in the doing, slowly, and now I would say they're almost being taken over by the domestic private companies. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you
to you.
for your answer. Very complete answer. I don't know what to reply now.
Sorry.
No, I will just add something. Of course, you have the influence of the CBAM, because the factories have some requirements asked by their clients. So they have the pressure of the client. So it's not only the client pressure for factories, but also actually the peer pressure. So the peer pressure is like from other companies are doing it, so I should do it. Is also an image pressure, because maybe some companies, not only the big companies, maybe the luxury companies in retail, for example, they have some image pressure, so they need to do something about sustainability and about carbon. So this is this type of client also come to us. And so you have the peer pressure, and also for factories, not only the client, also the state, actually, when they, for example, it's very basic, but when the state just say, we don't have enough electricity to provide to you, and then we will just cut the electricity, what can we do? So then that's why they need to think about how to save energy. So this is some of the reasons. So not only about saving money, of course, is one of the main reasons, but is also a different environment, the environment of the policies and etc. And the market, also the market. I think, yes, that's my answer.
Yeah, thank you. There's nearly nothing anymore I could add, but the good thing for me is we have no choice. And it makes it much easier as when you still can decide, oh, I will sleep a little bit longer, or I will get up and do something. And when we talk about profit, for sure we have to spend money for it. But if we don't spend this money now, maybe 5 years later, we are not a part of the market anymore. And we have several challenges. We have the regulations from the market, from the governments. We have our own image, and we have our natural human interests, that we still have enough oxygen in the air to breathe, that we will have not a so huge impact of the climatic change. So in all the things together, I think now we reach the point of no return, that even the last one already realized we have to do something. And how much it really costs is a secondary question. This is not the first question. We have to do it. And especially for New Musketeers, as a small company and as a how to say, consultant, and bring the right persons together, it is very, very important to realize that we can't do everything, but we can be a part of the game. And every one of us can do something. Doesn't matter how much percent we will be or will have a leading role inside. And I remember when I was 17, 18, 19 years old, the Green Party in Germany pops up. And everybody thought, hey, which kind of left side idiots, they want to change the world. And now they already belong to the establishment. And as sooner we realize that there's no way out, as easier it will be for us to change the situation. And one thing also changed, we always talk about profit and survival of the company, high costs, and then I think the first thing we have to change is our own thinking. In the past, the main thinking of every company owner was how I can be better than my competitors, how I can get the job and not my competitors. I think this time is gone. We can't know everything. When I listen to the words before, I just realized, hey, my knowledge is so low. I need partners. I need network. I need someone who knows something or knows someone who knows something. So this kind of, or this way of single fighters is gone. And the only choice we have is do it together and try to reduce the impact we already have. So the customers which comes to us, they have several reasons. In Europe, mainly it's image reasons.
someone maybe would call it greenwashing, or they want to develop new customer groups or whatever. But the reason why we do it at the end doesn't matter. We have to do it.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, we were checking this actually and sounding out and testing out from the demand side. Yeah. So to take this question and turn it around and go to the supply side, I would actually ask the same question and from the supply side and check a little bit what kind of in your own supply network, you probably have a network companies you are partnering with. Yeah, what kind of companies are there on the block already? Is this like SMEs from Europe who help you to provide the services and who you could be bringing on projects, or is it mostly local companies like local certifiers? Yeah, and a little bit, I would say, and this is maybe tricky, and again, no business secrets, yeah, no trade secrets. How many of these people are there in the whole market, I would say, yeah? So, yeah.
Tough question. Yeah.
But it's again from the own observation, like,
yeah,
because you're closer to these questions than what we are here.
Yeah, I would say we are working, of course, as not very as a small company. We're working with a network of companies because you have requirements for certifications, for installation licensing, and other things for the construction license, what we don't have in construction installation companies for hotels and others. So definitely we are working, but we are not making a distinction between foreign invested or Chinese companies. We just said who's the most suitable, trustable company with a good track record. We have a number of companies, Chinese construction companies. Also, we have a strategic partnership with, for example, Ingersoll-Rand, compressor manufacturer, one of the leading ones in the world. They are providing also energy heat recovery solution, but then when we integrate this into the whole factory and building network, for example, so on every part, we're working here with Akku Group, for example. They're providing carbon management and quality management for so many companies, and they have a network, and we are working with them to work on their client, because now there's a carbon management. We named it carbon management is energy efficiency also. So therefore we find partners here, and also of course suppliers, strategic suppliers like Siemens and others. So yeah, like 5 to 8 companies we are working with, and to make this offering a complete offering that the customer really wants. Because what we found out here is when you separate the different steps from the conceptual design, detailed design, execution, and also after sales service, we break it apart for energy saving projects. That's normally the dead of the project, because the know-how is accumulated in one step. It doesn't go to the next step. And then also there come companies, they have not experience doing the job. So therefore we are trying to offering the whole thing together with partners. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes. For us, it's a bit specific because we're providing the service for sustainability, sustainable buildings, energy efficiency. And so the first people or companies we will think about actually is some small SMEs that we know from our former work before in France. So for example, we have very specific people to hire in the certification. For example, you need an ecologist. So the ecologist is maybe not very common in China to find, and with very specific research to do on the site to find which kind of birds are here or which kind of so it's very specific. So that's why we have this kind of network of very specific topic partners, which are more foreign SMEs actually. So ecologist, acoustician, and landscape. So this is very specific. And of course, some of the suppliers actually they also partner up with local companies to localize better. So for example, we have like a solution for storage, energy storage, maybe was very developed in Europe,
And because, of course, we cannot always ask the cost from Europe, etc. So they partner up with the local company to develop the solution locally. So this is working a bit like this. So, and when also the customer need more local companies, we also have the network. It's also developing more this technical knowledge in sustainability in China for sure. So of course, we also partner up with local companies more and more.
Yeah, for New Musketeers, it is, we are mainly working for European customers in China, but also export to Europe and North America. But the customers who ask for our service are customers which are not really familiar with the Chinese law, with all the rules we have from central government, from local governments, province governments, and need a kind of bridge, a person who organizes the right parties to come together. It means we are working for fashion companies, we are working for showrooms, and especially for showrooms, it is very, very important that doesn't matter who comes inside, the person who has or wants to ask a question should not ask a question and can't get an answer he will be happy with. So it means, especially for showrooms, you should or have to obey special rules, doesn't matter from Europe or China. And especially also for the German customers, you know, we just have the discussion in the European Union and also especially in Germany to control your suppliers. And this is not only control your suppliers for human rights, and it will not stop there. It means we talk about later on zero emission, decarbonization, and this will follow very, very soon. And if you want to build a factory, a showroom, or even just a store in China, you should be prepared for it. And most of the German brands just need a contact person. So we are in Germany, we would call ourselves the yellow pages. We try to bring the right persons together. We are not producing something by ourselves, but we organize that the things which will be produced for our customers are in a condition that they can sell it everywhere.
Thank you so much. This brings me actually to a completely different point of view, not even completely different aspect. During the last days, actually preparing for today's event, a very old friend of mine and who has a construction company here in China, a foreign invested one, at the end of the day, when the cost pressure is getting high and really burdensome, it is still the same that people do away with all the green ideas and do it the traditional way. Yeah. So as non-green as possible. This brings me actually to the question is, have you observed this tendency as well? Could you be commenting this statement? And have you seen any kind of examples of greenwashing during the last years? And yeah, and could you a little bit explain to us, if you have seen some, how to greenwash in China?
Yeah, I mean, if I start, first, the world is not black and white. So there's we have good examples also. If you look at our client base, I think it's all for us. We have our clients are aware of this. They want to do something. So if we use our point of view, the world looks pretty good. Yeah, because our clients, they are all interested in this, and they are could be more honest than the other ones are not coming to us, and they just do the greenwashing on the report. So I can say, yeah, clearly there is there's still many companies that do nothing here and they're waiting. Yeah. Whether they do some greenwashing in the report, I haven't checked yet, and I will not do that. It's not my job. But we found out from the press that even some big companies fell prey to some greenwashing companies that all their CO2 emissions, certificates they bought, they were worthless. Actually, there was a complete greenwashing scam. But I think there is the trade-off clearly that people looking at the CO2 emission reduction, energy conservation, and also the profitability. And I can say some company, very extreme case said, we have the case from Tianjin, Japanese companies, whatever it costs, we don't care, zero emission, that's it, you do it, yeah. So, and then we have the others said, okay, 2 years payback time, 2.5 years, and hopefully we get also some emission savings by that. So this is the other extreme, yeah, completely commercially driven and driven by the emissions. So direct greenwashing, I cannot say this here, but I believe it will happen now with the requirements also in Germany. I recently spoke to a CEO of a German company who said, oh, in the past was very easy to make the ESG report in the annual report of the company because I copied the one from the year before. But from this year, it will be different. They will check everything. So it's a hard work now. So I think the whole, it's a long process, and this will be from the very, let's say, underdeveloped stage, will become very much standard. Even I tell my clients, you should have a carbon management accounting department, like your financial accounting. In the future, carbon accounting. So this would be a new standard. Some people are still laughing after some meetings. They don't laugh anymore. Said, oh yes, it's true, it's coming. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you for this carbon accounting, actually, because I can see that in the green building certifications, it's getting harder and harder, actually. It's also including more the carbon footprint idea. Before it was maybe easier, we can say more like a checklist, and then there is just, okay, if I do this, very easy, and then some people, so maybe some companies, when they do it, because it was, as I said before, the peer pressure. So they want to do it, but in a very cost-effective way. So they just choose the minimum requirements, and then they check the box, and then that's it. They have the certification. Now the certification, they go a further step. So they will add more requirements about carbons, and really the energy savings need to be really more effective to get more points. Otherwise, you really don't get so many points as before. So this is setting the target higher now. And for the greenwashing, we try for our company, we try not to choose this kind of project. So when the customer comes to us and then say, we just want a certification for a very cost-effective way, and then we will just pound and we will choose actually the really real sustainable project, and not just for the face. So this is, of course, greenwashing will happen, but for Terrao, it's in our philosophy to really choose the right projects. Yes.
Thank you. Greenwashing, if we talk about greenwashing, it becomes a really negative word already. And greenwashing could be a lie. I try to fake something, not or to look much better, or I do something in between my limits. And we talk about the balance before of profit, let's call it survive, and do something for our environment. Greenwashing can be to have some solar panels, and I look much more green than before on the roof. But even if it's a small step, it is still a step. And I think we have to learn that not every one of us can do everything at the same time. And when we talk about return of investment, before we heard around 2 to 2.5 years, I think we have to calculate in longer times. This return of investment for energy saving is around 4 to 5 years and not 2 years. And if companies only calculate with 2 years, at the end of the day, they have to say no. They can't afford it. And if they have to explain to their shareholders, whatever, hey, please wait 5 years till you get your investment back, it will be much more difficult. But in any case, greenwashing, you are right, greenwashing is the easiest way to do something if you don't want to do something. But Yeah, at the end of the day, the single step matters from every one of us. And we can't do everything at the same time. And when I saw before the time frames in the presentation from 2035 and then 2050, 2060, I said in the beginning, we already reached the point of no return. So I also need I spend a long time to change my thinking. It is better to do something in between my own time frame, my wallet, as to do nothing, because I think it makes no sense and I'm only a small part. So I think the whole problem starts with the change of our personal thinking about the problem. And for me, greenwashing doesn't matter if someone think I want to pop up my image with a little bit solar panels or not. For me, it is important that they have solar panels on the roof and not the reason why they do it.
Mm. In terms of the speed, I mean, the 14th five-year plan, they are setting actually very ambitious targets in terms of renewable energies. Just to read them out, about 50% of the increased energy consumption should be fulfilled by renewables. Renewables should make 33% of the total electricity consumption. Wind and solar power generation are to double within these 5 years. And there should be about more than 60 million tons of coal equivalent be generated in terms of geothermal heating, biomass heating, biofuels, and solar thermal. I'm just asking, where do you think are we in this trajectory? Is it, are we in a good way? Is it perceivable? Is it realistic that we're going to achieve?
Yeah, I can talk, of course, with my limited point of view from Xinjiang, from the north, looking down the country, and more is looking at the northeast of China. First of all, the target, 50% of the increased energy consumption. I don't know if this is electricity consumption or energy in general, but for electricity, in fact, it is expected that this year they will reach already 100% of the increase of electricity consumption covered by renewables. So we will see if it's happened or not, but this seems feasible. Many people believe, but energy consumption, maybe this is a total, so this is the higher. So I personally, look at this, I think I'm very optimistic on this part. I'm quite pessimistic, more realistic on other ones, but on this part, I would say China will break all the records they set for themselves. So I'm not worried about that setting a targets. We see a lot of things in the northern province, the increase of the wind power, solar power. They changed the system now in the grid. So every 15 minutes, it's coming province by province. Also here, Jiangsu already changed, I think, to make the grid flexible, to control the demand side with different flexible tariffs every 15 minutes. So I see there is China will be absolutely reaching the targets here. So on this one, I think no problem. I think the part where probably they lag behind and what is going slower is on the energy efficiency in general, and on the demand side, they are quite a bit slow because it's more complicated, and this awareness is missing, and we need, we need investment by many companies. So that what we might take from the North China point of view, that this, I think, absolutely no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree about the energy efficiency part. That is a bit harder for the local market, we can say, and not so obvious, because actually maybe the experience is not so long, and also maybe here we prefer to see something new, bright new, like the solar PV is very nice to see on your roof, and then energy efficiency, nobody can see it, so it's not very good for marketing, we can say. So that's why it's a bit slow on this part. For sure, for the solar PV, it's really popular. And every time we do a green building project, the customer will first come with this idea in the beginning. And also they come more with the other renewable energies actually. So can we do geothermal in our site? Can we do biomass? So they will ask us to do some feasibility study about this. Now, because the market also for the new construction is getting a bit slow these days, these months. So we focus more on the energy efficiency. Yes, so the more companies are focusing on this, even if it's not very marketing good for the marketing, but they focus more on energy efficiency for the existing sites. So this is a very good sign for me. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nearly nothing anymore I can add. The only thing maybe to add is I'm also absolutely sure that we will reach every speed record in China to change it. It is already an image question. They fight for their own system. And I watch every day US news, British news, German news, and Chinese news. And if I look at the German news, what happens in Germany at this moment to bring the wind energy from the north of Germany to the south, and which kind of energy I can use and how far it can be away from a building or the next village. Even quite happy with the democracy, but sometimes the central government shows that the things can go much faster. So I'm not worried about this. And this kind of pressure the government bring to us with new rules, even sometimes I'm not really happy about this, but it will bring us forwards. When I want to buy a second electric car, they told me, no, your company is too small. You can't get a second green number plate. You have to buy a new number plate and we paint it green for you. But you have to buy it because you are too small. So I can buy a AMG 63 G-Class, and for the same amount of the license plate, and can go to downtown, and the consumption is, I don't know, 25, 30 liters downtown. There's no effect. I will get it. But to buy a second electric car, for the small things, they are not flexible enough. For the big things, for the changes, it goes sometimes faster as we are able to follow. The speed is too high for many of us, for the normal person to see how fast the rules changed here. And I'm optimistic for the future. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Our timekeeper is already raising his whistle, so I think this leaves us some room for the last question now. And this would be actually to carve it out a little bit in terms of SMEs and about their chances. The current foreign investment guidance catalog from 2022 favors and encourages the following services and projects. And I'm throwing them now out to you, and a little bit like the last round in a quiz. Yeah. And I will ask you to give me your, I would say, I could even say association, yeah? What kind of European SMEs, be it that you have a specific name, to be it that you have a specific line of industry, prominent line of industry from some country, or be it some kind of region or some kind of country, should be listening up when they hear this, yeah? And I give them maybe in two rounds. Yeah, the first is actually from the project and service sector, which is, we are talking here about advanced system integration technology, clean construction and clean operation, containerized energy storage, geothermal, and fuel cell systems. Well, let's make it one. And in terms of building materials, we're talking about wooden structures and wooden building materials, energy saving building materials, high performance insulation materials, and recycling of construction waste. So if you hear those terms, actually you also have them on the leaflet. Who should be listening up in Europe and like having a ding dong in their mind to say, wow, I must go after these chances. There must be something. There must be some gold hidden. I must go to China to invest.
Yeah, I would say to start here, Definitely what is in great need here is system integration. What is feasibility study, system integration, because here they look at single systems upgrade and not combining energy systems together. I think this is one of the big shortfalls here in the market, and few companies can do. I feel that we have less competitors in this, for example. Yeah. Services, I think there's one service to bring know-how here, of course. This is in great need, but for example, energy services, we talk like company energy service provider and investor like Veolia, for example, and other companies in this market, they really have a hard time here for many reasons. Yeah, biomass, for example, the subsidy is not being paid, and then the pricing and everything. So energy service provider, I would say rather not, very difficult time for them in the Chinese market. I don't know if this will improve, but now with also the government with less and less budget, I don't think this can improve. And other systems, geothermal systems, I mean, there's two types of geothermal. One is the normal heat pump system, ground source storage, and the deep geothermal systems. I see both of those technologies already pretty much mature in China, and also pretty okay. I mean, from the designs, we see some potential for improvement, but here I don't think it has a great opportunity for companies through here. So for others, I think for the building materials, others for in particular here, I would say the know-how of improve existing buildings, because we have so many buildings with so poor insulation here, and the companies can have technologies to improve those buildings and bring in the technology, the techniques, but also maybe some material for that. I think they would be in great demand in China. Definitely, this is coming, and our company, we do the heat imaging, the thermal imaging of buildings, and then we found out, oh my God, I mean, this is in Germany or in Europe, we have a small place like, oh, they should do something. He said, oh my God, and the whole building, we should do something. Yeah. It's like, so it is a very, we see that as a great need for this kind of technology to come here and to improve.
Yes, I agree. And then in addition, I will focus maybe more on the embodied carbon and the green materials. So we try to push more the customers to think about reuse, as you mentioned before, reuse, so reusing the materials. And also you can see that, for example, in China, I think the decoration business goes very fast. I mean, it's very frequent that some office will move or some shops will move, and then the decoration is destroyed, and then a new decoration again. So actually now, and also moving office. So we are pushing a little bit more for the companies to think about reusing their current materials as much as possible to save the carbon footprint, actually, to reduce their carbon footprint. So it's all about embodied carbon. So it's not only about for embodied carbon of the structure material, the steel, the concrete, of course. In China, it's ongoing, but also of the fit-out materials. So this is also something to be pushed here. And yeah, I think it can grow very well. Yes.
Yeah, back to your first part of the question. I think everyone should listen in Europe what's going on in China. I would not make a so huge difference. It is also more a political question very often, and now I talk from Germany, we said, oh, it's China, so be careful when they talk something. Or these normal system relevant challenges. And a lot of persons are not really willing to listen. We work also for a worldwide acting very old German company for household appliance. And when they heard that our partner sourced also in China, their first thinking was, oh no, we only produce in Germany. So from China, be careful. And we have to discuss about if we want this or not. Now they changed their production from Germany to Poland. So in fact, there is no difference, and all of them should listen. But for the building materials and also for the small things, we have a high energy consumption to bring it on site, to produce it, to install it. For example, furniture. The best thing you can do is produce it in a quality that you can guarantee a long time for using, and produce it in a way, or make the construction in a way that you can deassemble and assemble again, even in a different shape. So the thing when I talk about us, 5 years warranty in China, not 12 months. And we try to make the construction in a way that you can use it everywhere with small changes. And this is the best way at first to get customers. And secondly, the customers will use the furniture fixtures longer than before. The normal period before, especially in shop fitting, was less than 3 years, and they throw out everything. Oh, we have to change our concept. We need new furniture, and so new shop. And recycling in China, for me, I'm always surprised how good it works already. It starts with a small, old man or ladies on their bicycle. They catch your paper bags, they catch your water bottles, they catch everything. So, and somehow it goes back. On the other hand, our biggest German customer asked us, hey, how much green steel you can bring to Europe and US, the percentage of green steel. And I try my best to get an answer. Till now, I didn't get an answer. There is no statistic, there is no percentage, and I guess there is also nobody who wants to give an answer. On the other hand, I know that there is a recycling process. So this, for me, the European companies should listen. We should come into a dialogue to learn from each other. Same here as we are doing in the small round. We come here to learn, to listen and to learn. And hopefully someone of our governments will look at our session here and bring it into Europe, the European Union, and maybe also to Asian governments.
Okay, thank you so much for your insights, dear lady, dear gentlemen. Having said that, I think we are coming close to the end, and I would suppose that we still answer some. Yes, please. This is just what I want to say. To answer some questions from the audience.
Thank you so much. That was interesting. My name is Bruno. I'm running a company named Civeco. I'm dealing with operation and maintenance. So I have a question on operation and maintenance. In the Arup slides from the keynote speech, Ms. Chen had the slide showing scope ABC of carbon emissions. Then you have, you actually pointed out the operational maintenance part, which has, this is where you have energy consumption. This is where you have water consumption, and then other things, maintenance, refurbishment. When we talk about all these sustainability improvement projects, the talk is usually about, new equipment, better equipment, PV panels, hardware, and this is usually what customers actually want, some miracle hardware that you will put it there, and in many cases it actually has a big impact. But the O&M part, operation and maintenance, from the people's perspective, what we actually do in the facility has a big impact according to the chart. So it's not just me saying it, and it has also an impact on carbon emissions, but it also has a direct impact on energy consumption of your equipment. If you lubricate your equipment properly, if you clean your filters properly, big impact on energy consumption. Same for water consumption and water quality and so on. The question being, why is it? I think operation and maintenance is underestimated, under-optimized as a result, which means a lot of potential. But you don't find many clients. Our clients, manufacturing plants and so on, if you're really interested about it. Most suppliers in this field are not really talking much about this. It's always about equipment. What do you think? Did you see the same thing? Do you, and why? Why is that? Is it simply because it's a little bit hard? They have to deal with people, or what is it? What is it that makes it very not a hot topic? That's my question.
Yeah, I mean, I can answer a bit because we are actually every time we see clients, and we are working on the borderline about their operation, and normally to make it easy, because it's about liability, it's about the process. If you change something on the process and then something goes wrong, then the impact is very big on the customer, and every client has a different process. So I try to stay a bit out of this, but you cannot stay out if you have a heat recovery from the process, or you provide heating and cooling to the process. You go a bit into the process, so you have to be look into this topic. So in fact, I have now a project. Give an example what can be done. It is a client that needed cooling for their special room, where they're in the room they do some production with a lot of heat. And then at the same time, I found out they have a boiler making also hot water to heat up the room. And they also have a big fan to provide fresh air to this room. And then our solution is, for example, to just provide a properly designed air source heat pump system, providing cold air, cool down air, and also the hot water to heat up the process. So, but it goes very much to discussion, very deep into the process. You talk to every process engineer, and then it becomes a very complicated process in the company to get this approved. And the effort is very big, and then the company is sometimes not able to pay for that. But now the return of this project, I give you an example, is less than 2 years. So customers interested will do this. But these are the difficulties why we go less in operation and maintenance. But if you really do the energy complete overhaul of a big factory, you can't stop there. But these are the difficulties. That's why I'm trying to stay a bit out of that. Yeah. I hope it
yes,
helps
when
a bit
we
answer the question. Yeah.
when we study the energy efficiency, the energy audits, and of course we have to touch upon the operation cost and how the people operate. And often is in the factories is often maybe a very how to say experienced operation manager, and then if you just is not we don't want to criticize. Actually, we are here to help the company, and also we are appointed by the client to improve the operation, and just to point out, okay, maybe this we could improve this part or improve this part, and maybe they don't want to change their habits. So sometimes it's a bit hard. It's a question actually of more of education, training. Maybe the company cannot just put an expert like to come and just without any communication and without a global, how to say, a global goal of decarbonization, etc. So it's really a question of communication, training, understanding, I think. And that's why it's a bit, because it touches more on the human relationship. So it's that's why it's a bit more difficult, not only machines.
There's also another aspect you just think it's very important to understand in all those projects is the kind of management inertia, or the inertia in a company. Don't change anything, because we have a good life and we don't want to change. So any change is risk. We need to learn, and most people don't want. This is a normal human behavior. This is nothing about the society, whatever. This is normal thing. So this makes it harder for people like us to make changes there. And the other one is why it is also difficult to change something in the process here is because people have a know-how, and very often this know-how is in their head, and they don't write it down, and this is their insurance to stay in the company, because only they know how to operate this, and anything to make this whole process transparent and make it easier, and have a baseline, have comparison, improvement, they're against that. So if the management of the company is not strong enough to break this and change this behavior, then every effort will be in vain, will fail. Yeah.
I also think it is a part of, at first we have to leave our comfort zone. And nobody is really willing to work or think 24 hours per day. The second thing is the education by itself. The education is in the past more or less repeating, and there's a high theoretical knowledge, but to operate something, to think about efficiency and this at this moment mainly comes from investment in machines and not from the persons. Luckily, the machines we can buy today are so good, doesn't matter which kind of sector you're talking about, that we can save a lot of energy, that we can save time and but this can't be the thing. Just today morning I would discuss with my partner, hey, what do you think how AI will change our job, our business, and I think, yeah, it from my point of view, it will support us but not replace us. It will help us to find solutions where we are not capable to deal with it, especially when you talk about furniture and fixtures. Craftsmanship is everything. And how craftsmanship in China, how they deal with it before, it was learning by doing, compared to, for example, a German education. And now the machines, they have already better machines as in Germany. If I talk about the biggest woodworking machine production company, Homag, they sell much more machines in China as in whole Europe together. So it will work to bring it into operation and to let persons think instead of just repeat. It will be our biggest challenge.
Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexandra. You can call me Ellie. I'm from a small consulting companies. It's lucky and by chance for me to participate in some of the projects related with the decrease in the carbon. At that time, so we studied some of the regulations, such as one of the regulations showing in the first speaker's presentation slides. It's about the zero carbon regulations issues by our governments. As we all know, there are some of the other certificates, such like the one is popular, maybe called the Green Factory certificate. Maybe you have heard of that. And also, there are some of the certificates even issued by some of the committees. So they issue their own certificates. So my first question is related with certificates. So what's your comments for these certificates? And if the clients ask you suggestions, what's your advisory for them? And but my mention is about some certificates in China markets. So maybe today the event is an international one. So maybe you can share some other certificates in other countries. This is my first question. My second is that, I think today this event is organized by the small and medium-sized departments of the European chambers. We all know we can notice a lot of the outstanding cases. The big giant companies, they contribute a lot to the decrease carbon and the climate change issues. What I want to know is, so like me, I'm from the small company now. So I want to know if the small or startup companies like us, like me, also want to show some of the social responsibility. So how can I do? And can you share some of the maybe outstanding cases from these small companies, Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's right. You look interested.
Yeah.
Thank you for the first question. Definitely, there are plenty of regulation here in the market right now. That's something we come across. We do the research, especially some of our clients have asked us, how about we do a certification like this one, the green factory, and the 1.0 factory certification, and even us Arab, we would like to issue one of the certification. But I think here's some problem here. So one of another certification organization, their marketing leader, I wants to talk to her. I said, I think it's not okay to be the judge and be the player both in the market. I think it's not a good phenomenon. So I think it's great to have many regulation in the market, which means the carbonization and decarbonization market is hot. But I should also think for most of the client, it will be great to follow the regulation and the menu issued by the government, and that's something will be more accurate for the how to say, for the carbon audit, for the low carbon design in future. So I'm not very encouraged to so many menus appearance in the market. I think it may change in future. So that's my answer. Yes.
Second part of the answer, yeah. No.
Yeah, does anybody want to pick up the second
Yeah, I
part?
mean, for the small company, I mean, I also founded my own company just now 5 years ago in January 2019. Yeah, I think you really have to look at some small market, if something that's not interesting for the big companies, but some service where you can provide a better service for the long term sustainably with your competence. So not just doing many people trying to do everything here, because maybe you get one customer and then one customer said, oh, can you do everything here? But I think this is a bit of wrong way. Of course, you can go this way. One customer, you provide everything and maybe it's enough. But if you really want to grow the company, you need to look at how you're specialized on a special service that you can keep the competitive advantage for the long time. And then finding the right clients in the market, because there's so many customers here in China, but potential customers, but maybe 90% or even 95% not very suitable for what you are doing. So then find the real ones that really need your service, that pay on time, and they can value your service. So it's my advice. It's my advice. Don't go for everybody. Yeah. If you start a small company in whatever business, consulting business, service business. Yeah.
I also would look at it as an advantage. When you have a small company and a startup, you are small, flexible, and efficient. Your fixed costs are lower, and you can react much faster. You don't have to bring the entire management with you. Teach them how to do it, to where you want to go. Even you change the direction. So see it as an advantage. The bigger companies in Germany, we call it waterhead. They have to bring everyone into the same direction by order or by I don't know what. You can do it by yourself in the way you want to do it and find the right partners for all the things you can't do by yourself, or your knowledge or your education is not enough. As I said before, work with networking. Find the right person who knows someone who knows someone. And don't try to do everything by yourself. It will not work. We have the same problem. We are just now 7 or 8 persons. And my promise to myself is never more than 10. For sure not. It makes my life difficult and I don't want. And I'm too old for this. But with these persons we have and training to them nearly every day, try to bring them into the position to be an all-rounder. I have a family next to me. And this is the biggest advantage for startups and small companies. And I think this is an advantage which, it's difficult to bring you out of something, because you can focus on the small parts and you don't need a so high sales amount to survive.
Thank you so much for the great discussion, and I can also come feedback to Mr. Kumfert's statement for the building sector, for building materials, for especially buildings. I mean, living in Shanghai, you often realize that the insulation is not too good. When you're coming from the window space, that makes my heart cry sometimes. But just on a side note, I feel also that German companies, European companies, they can also take this as a new opportunity to actively drive change in China with our expertise, with also maybe our headquarters that are pushing us to fulfill the climate goals, so that we can really step up, make sustainability, especially for us, a future key differentiator to say, hey, this is not about technology anymore, but it's rather about sustainability. Just on a side note, so I fully agree with your statement on that end. What would be interesting for me to know for you, from your experience, from what you see in the market, what is the carbon market playing a role in driving the decarbonization of China? Do you see this as an important topic for the future? Do you also feel that there will be a future integration with what we see in terms of Europe with the carbon market happening, that there might be an integration, or that the certificates will be the same, because also the carbon price is much lower in China, for example, than in Europe. So yeah, basically twofold. How do you see the role of the carbon market in China? And do you see any future connection to what we see in the rest of the world?
Yeah, okay, good question. First, the market here in China is also still at its infancy. It's still in the very beginning, and we have there's two markets. One is for the real emission trading certificates, and one is for the voluntary emission savings. What they now have just re-established after a year, 5 or 7 years. I forgot how long time. So this is all still very much in a flow at the moment. But we can see, I've attended several meetings from the policymakers. There is a very much a desire to kind of align at least with the European market. And it has several reasons. The reasons, definitely one, the main reason is not to be cut out of the European market. So they know that CBAM is coming. And so therefore this market, I also see this happening now in every province. They establish an emission control center. I've been in the Liaoning emission control center. It's unbelievable. So every district of the province, they have a color, how much emission they have online for all the big emitters. And they see online which part of the province exceeding the target, and one was Shenyang was yellow, red, deep red. Dalian was red, and other places with no production were green. So they have this, and they, in fact, there is a system being put into place for the energy efficiency projects that can be certified. And if it's certified by the government, there's a way then you can sell these emission reduction, voluntary reductions to the market. At the moment, also the price was, I give you the price, was also about the 50 RMB per ton. And but it only makes sense for big reductions, because there is an initial charge was like 300,000 to get this whole system in place for the project, because I want to make it for one of my clients. And then you have an annual maintenance of like maybe less than 100,000. So you can calculate if your annual reduction 300, 500, 800,000 RMB divided by 50 in tons, then you have the CO2 emissions in tons, then this kind of thing would make sense. So in general, put it in a nutshell, it's all in the flow. It's fast developing. It's very hard to predict at what milestone when they will achieve, but it's very rapid now. And I personally believe also, I'm very positive and bullish here on this part, that this is going also completely in the right direction in China, and China aligned with Europe, I'm pretty sure in this regard. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So when we propose the proposal to our clients, we always talk about ESG and decarbonization. Have you ever tried to sell the idea of circular economy to our clients, and how? I'm pretty curious about this kind of solution.
Yes, for us, we often now push more for the circularity, actually, for the reuse, because we cannot only calculate the LCA like this and then stop and don't give any solution, just the solution of use recycled content, steel or concrete. So that's why now we are pushing more for circularity and reuse, as I said before. So yes, I mean, some customers are accepting. They say, okay, you can do the feasibility study. We can see maybe for this time, we will evaluate. We will see if it's possible. Maybe this time we don't really implement it, but at least for the next time, they will think more about it and then they will maybe implement it. But we have done a project where the client was really pushing for the reusing of furnitures of their office, because they were moving offices and then they were asking us to do a reuse audit. So we had to audit which furniture they could reuse in their new office. Mm-hmm. And also we have to discuss, actually, we had to discuss with their design team, because the new office need to be fit to welcome the old furniture, because if one is bigger and then okay, no, it's not possible because this is not the same size. Okay, maybe you should think about this before. So this kind of new ideas are coming. So because it's a necessity, it's also saving money, actually. So it's also a necessity. So yes, coming.
For the product sourcing, I can see that some of our clients, they have the requirements because of the end. Their client has the requirement of the recycled material, and they only get a job if they can guarantee a certain portion of recycled, like aluminum, for example, highly energy intensive. And if not, then they will be excluded. So this already is taking place, but I don't know for the Chinese automotive OEMs, but for the German ones, we already can see this, they have these requirements. So it's coming already, and I know one company, they said, oh, we got this order only because we guarantee the recycled, and they come here and check. Yeah. So this is really a positive sign, but it's just one flower on the big meadow maybe at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I also would turn around your question a little bit. Normally, you don't have to go to the client and offer it as a way. Normally, the most of the clients are already so well educated and they are clear about the situation that they ask you directly, hey, can you offer yes or no? And a no is a knockout. So it is not a marketing instrument to the customer anymore. The customers are already well informed, especially the bigger customers. And to reduce furniture or fixtures, just look at IKEA. This is their system. How they become big. You can assemble by yourself, you can deassemble, you can change sizes. They are just built-in elements. And in exactly this way, you can make every office decoration with recycled materials according to the requests of the designers.
I'm just wondering, are there already markets here for, or is there a market for recycled building materials supply-wise?
Yes. Especially the bigger companies they ask for.
And for example, if I need glass, aluminum, steel.
The beginning of everything was it was European designers which comes to China and brought this topic on the table. And they use a lot of materials, or they try to bring materials inside here they already use for, I don't know, 10, 15 years in Europe. And now they bring their knowledge to here, and more potential customers, for sure, they see it. The materials looks a little bit different. Sometimes they look already used, but it's, call it vintage design, or it's a new way of design. And the designers are the beginning of the story. And the market is there, yes.
Yeah, we have some projects, they already used some recycled content steel for their new factories, but they can already be done. It's a bit difficult to find sometimes the suppliers and to be very clear about the percentage of recycled content. Sometimes it's a bit, not a secret, but it's a bit hard to find the data, but at least they can do it. Yeah.
I can see now for the material, but also for machines. There's I think a growing market now, and this is actually a business opportunity maybe for somebody here who wants to start a new business to sell, buy and sell second-hand machines or energy systems like boilers or chillers and heat pumps, because what we see now, I've several clients already, we make the boiler redundant, and now they said, Harold, now can you help me sell the boiler? And it's not only one, and so there's a growing market, but at the moment there's no player in the market. There should be somebody. I mean, somebody will pick this up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may remember it used to be common 20 years ago, maybe a Chinese companies were actually buying second-hand equipment from Europe.
Yeah.
Plus international companies sending.
Yeah.
This time is gone.
Yeah.
There's
So,
a
but
buy
now
the
for this,
second-hand equipment.
Yeah. So this should be coming. I think this will be a big market, because you see there's so many replacement now by, like, for example, typically the chiller is replaced by the heat pump, the boiler is replaced by the heat pump, or by electrical storage devices now using green energy. Yeah. So there's a big market now for this. Yeah.
And the search cost would typically not outweigh the benefits.
No, I mean, if this should be very efficient, it should be internet-based, and then somebody, okay, I offer you, it's like, it's everything on the internet, like you buy a thing on Taobao, like a similar thing, of course, a bit more specialized for this market, but I think this should be coming up now, because there's, I can see there's just from my point of view, quite a big market already. With the energy transition we see in the, for example, in the city of Dalian, the government has mandated now the abolishment of all coal-fired boilers now, and it's like they want to do 200 this year projects. I don't think they can make it happen, but that's in their plan. But you can see the magnitude. This is a relatively small city, and then it should be replaced. But you don't need to buy new things. The coal-fired boiler going out, maybe that is gone, but then you can use gas boiler, heat pumps. You don't use in other places anymore. So there's a big market for this, I think, coming.
Wonderful.
Would you like to have a last word, Nathan?
Okay. With that said, I think, there's still one question. Yeah.
Thanks. This is Chloe from Johnson Summit. We're also a German company. I think some of you may know that. You discussed about a lot of the material recycle. We are actually doing one thing I'd like to share, that if you heard about the cradle to cradle, this is that we call it also the material that we can reuse, but it's actually going back the raw material. So it's not like a second-hand material that you reuse again with the furniture, with the shape of the products already, but this is like a glass, like a carpet, which can be degraded again into the small raw material, and then it's like a really low waste to the ground, to the earth, and there's no additional detoxing for the environment. We do this in Germany already. That's also we're trying to bring the material in China for the construction, like a material itself, or also like a carpet, partitions itself, even that trying to concrete in the future, especially like a glass, the facade glass. Usually that it's glass breaking, it's waste, but we can make it back to the raw material and the reuse again. However, it's actually, I believe this is another economic problem, is that reuse the product itself that reduce the investment for the new projects. Yeah, the client like to use the whatever they have already used, but to purchase for or to do the cradle material integrate into your current facility, it may increase the investment. Yeah, for us that we saw it in China in the market, or the idea itself is a little bit difficult to sell this idea for future, for 10, 20 years. Of course that we can reuse the carpet. I don't like the pattern. Maybe I can reuse that. But a lot of clients, they don't really see that. They say, well, I use 10 years, use 20 years maximum, then I waste it. But this is how one of the things that we like also contribute for the environment, for the sustainability topic. So how do you suggest that we can somehow promote this kind of certificate material? I think there's a lot of potential partnership with you guys about this material, because it is good idea. Yeah, it's already there. So how do you think that how we can convince the client to do that? We do have some clients purchase little materials of that. Yeah, we're also trying to find some local suppliers, like a producer, to see if they like to also participate this kind of certificate to produce one of their products to guarantee to grant this certificate to be part of the green contribution. Thanks.
Yeah, I will reply from my point of view. I think for the green building projects, actually, they really need this kind of products. And what they are really more, how to say, need to see for this product is that if you have an EPD, so if you have the certificate, and then actually it's easier to sell. But then, of course, we need to consider the cost and everything so together. But if you at least if you have this EPD, it will be a good entry point to go into the green building project. Yeah.
And the best step you already did. You are here and you let us know that you are here. So it is, as I said before, it is networking. As more we know from each other and as more we get a complete overview about the market and the opportunities we have, as easier it will be for all of us. So the first thing I need later on is your name card or your WeChat. Then for sure, this is never a promise, but we will keep it in mind. And nobody knows when we can use it. For this reason, we are here.
Yeah, I have maybe another additional comments here, just to focus a bit. I think it was already mentioned by the others. Focus on the clients, select the clients, the right client, the client that go for zero emission and they go for ESG targets and recycled material and get it certified, get it quantified, get it calculated. What are the savings? Get it quantifiable, certified, I think. And last but not least, we in China still, I think you can try to reduce your cost of your whole process. I'm not suggesting going to the province, but the name we cannot give out. There's the lowest energy cost in China, because the 1 cent per kilowatt hour, I don't know, it's very energy intensive, But reduce your cost, and then I think you can go closer and widen your market. But at the moment, go to the place where they really appreciate this and not going after the lowest cost only. Later we should check out. Okay. Good. Very interesting.
Wonderful. With that said, I think we will be having some closing remarks.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much again for joining us today. And also big thanks to our great keynote speaker and panelists, Johannes, Harold, Natalie, Kay, and Tianqi. So last but not least, I would like to call your attention to filling a very quick survey to improve our services and give your feedback to this event. And we hope to having you more in our upcoming SME-related events. So stay tuned to our LinkedIn and WeChat accounts. So thank you again very much for joining us. And you can take some time, enjoy the food, and have some conversations with our speakers.